Is Liverpool back? Well, it depends on what you mean by back, but yes, they are, and not just because they smoked Manchester United 7-0 this weekend. We're going to talk a little bit about Liverpool and what it means, what it all means, here on Stoppage Time at Pints and Punditry. Alright, so the big story of the weekend was Liverpool smoking Manchester United 7-0. And it's easy to overreact to this, right? A game like this does not mean Manchester United is not good. It doesn't mean Liverpool is suddenly amazing again. When you see a score like 7-0 and it's not a top team like Liverpool or Manchester City or Manchester United against a relegation team, when it's not one of those types and you see it against two contending teams, it's an outlier. This is an anomaly, right? Liverpool is not 7 goals better than Manchester United, not in one game. They're barely 7 goals better than them in goal differential on the season. So this is an anomaly. This is an outlier. For whatever reason, Manchester United just laid down. These things happen. They can't happen very often, and it's surprising to see them on an Erik ten Hag-led team and a veteran team like Manchester United, but they do happen. So the key is to not read too much into this. So what does this mean for Liverpool? Are they back? Well, define back, right? Liverpool's not going to be contending for a Premier League title this year. It's not going to happen just mathematically, it's stacked against them, but also they're just not there talent-wise. Champions League, they're behind the 8 ball against Real Madrid. That's not happening either. So, they're not back to their old Liverpool ways, but they are back in terms of being one of the more competitive teams in the Premier League, and not just because of this game. That's been going on for a month now. In their last 5 Premier League games, they've got 4 wins and a draw, including now wins against Manchester United and Newcastle, 2 top 4 teams. So they're playing better football. Now, in the midst of that was a bad game against Real Madrid, but Real Madrid's just a lot better than them. That's what I mean. Liverpool is not back to that level, but they are back to being one of the more competitive teams in the Premier League, and they have been for a little while, and they're going to be a top 4 team. That's my prediction. They are going to be a top 4 team. They've still got a game in hand. They are playing better. They're going to squeak back into that top 4, which is probably about where they should be based on their roster this year. But think about that, because this is a team and a club and in a season where the sky has been falling the whole time. And early in the season, we're talking about Jurgen Klopp and his 7-year curse, and Klopp out, and has it passed him by, or has his time at Liverpool over? And it's just so insane to think about those things. They were insane at the time, and I said that. The whole 7-year curse thing is just so stupid. The only ongoing complaint about Liverpool that has some merit is the way Fenway Sports Group operates, and the fact that they don't seem to want to fully invest in winning. They just want to be competitive, they want to make the Champions League, but are they really dedicated to winning compared to some of the state-run teams? And the answer is flat out no. So I understand why fans want them out. But to want Jurgen Klopp out has been ridiculous the whole time, and he's proving his merit because, frankly, if he can get this roster and this team into the top 4, that's a hell of a coaching job. This is not the same Liverpool team of old that ran the same front 3 out every single game, and they worked like clockwork. Mane, Firmino, Salah. Well, Mane's gone, Firmino's not playing that much, and Salah is clearly not quite as good without those guys. He's still obviously a very fantastic player, but it's taken a step back. We all know about the midfield issues. The big issue that Liverpool had this year was with their roster construction. They went after the big fish of Darwin Núñez. There's nothing wrong with Darwin Núñez. He's going to be a fantastic player. He's already starting to adjust to the Premier League. Right, it was never appropriate to compare him to Erling Haaland, but he's going to be a fantastic player. But Liverpool had more than just one hole to fill. They approached the offseason like, okay, we're losing Sadio Mane, we need to replace him with another star. And that's an approach, and they did that, but he wasn't ready to take on that role, and they had more holes, particularly in the midfield. And that has really exposed them this year. They would have been better off taking the money for Darwin Núñez and dividing it up over 2 or 3 players the way Arsenal did when they went after Gabby Jesus and Alexander Zinchenko, rather than compiling that money into one star player. The problem for Liverpool has been depth. They don't have enough of it. A few injuries here and there have ravished them, and they have holes in the midfield that they're plugging with very young players like Harvey Elliott, who is fantastic, but is still very young and inexperienced and coming off a major injury. So it's their roster construction that really has been the big issue this year, and the fact that Klopp has them back in, contending for a top 4 spot and in a Europa League spot at the moment with a game in hand is really a commendable coaching performance this year. He's done a fantastic job, and it just goes to show you that this 7-year thing was just so stupid, and that getting rid of managers at the first sign of a downturn is insane. So stop calling for managers to get out because the team took a little step back, particularly when it is so explainable, right? You could see why this team took a little step back this year, and it's not because Jurgen Klopp forgot how to coach. So Liverpool is back, yes, in terms of being one of the top 4, 5, 6 teams in the Premier League and contending for European spots. They are not back in an actual contending spot for the table, not this year, and they're not back in the Champions League, but they are back in terms of being one of the better teams in the Premier League, and that's good for the Premier League because this is a wide open season where the top of the table has more depth than ever, and it's good to see them finally joining the party again. Tell us what you think. Comment below. Make sure you follow us on Twitter at TotalFIFACM. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Let's get the conversation going. Thanks as always for joining us on Stoppage Time at Pints and Punditry. This is Total FIFA Career Mode.